My sister stole my inheritance, money to buy her dream house, while I was struggling to pay for college, then lost her job and begged me for help. But when I reminded her what she did, she went silent. I, female, 25, can't handle my perfect sister, female 32, constantly judging my financial situation while she flaunts her amazing life. Okay, so where do I even start with all this? I guess the basics. I graduated college 2 years ago, and I am drowning in student loan debt. Like, seriously drowning. $86 worth of drowning. And my sister Patricia just doesn't get it at all. Our parents died in a car crash 5 years ago when I was a sophomore in college. Drunk driver hit them on their way home from dinner. I still remember getting that call in my dorm room at like 2 a.m. God, that was the worst night of my life. I thought it was a prank call at first and got annoyed, but then, yeah. Anyway, before they died, they had been saving for both me and Patricia's college. But Patricia is 7 years older than me, so she had already finished college by the time they died. They paid for most of her education. After the accident, there wasn't much money left. Some life insurance, but it mostly went to funeral costs and paying off their debts. So I had to take out a ton of loans to finish school. I know people are going to ask why I didn't just drop out or transfer to a cheaper school. Honestly, I was in such a fog of grief I could barely function. I was already halfway through my program, and the thought of starting over somewhere new was just too much. Maybe that was a bad decision, but like, hindsight is 20/20, I guess. Patricia has always been the golden child in our family. Always. Like since we were kids. She got straight A's, knew exactly what she wanted to do from like age 15, accounting. Went to a good college, got a good job right away, married this engineer guy who makes really good money, and now lives in this gorgeous house in the suburbs with her perfect little life. And like, I don't want to be that person who resents someone else's success. I mean, I want to be happy for her. And I am. Mostly. Okay, maybe I'm a little jealous sometimes, but whatever. But what drives me absolutely insane is how she constantly talks down to me about my financial situation while posting pics of her kitchen renovation and new SUV and weekend trips to wherever. It's like she completely forgets that she had advantages I didn't have. I was so devastated after our parents died that I could barely function for months. I almost failed 2 classes that semester. Patricia handled all the estate stuff, which I'm grateful for. But she also started treating me like I was a child instead of a 20-year-old adult. She'd call me every single day to check in, which really meant interrogate me about whether I was going to class and if I was eating properly and had I talked to financial aid yet, etc., etc. And like, I know she was just worried about me, but it was so suffocating. I was grieving and trying to keep my head above water academically, and she was constantly on my case about everything. Fast forward to now. I graduated, got a job in marketing. The pay isn't terrible, $52, but I live in a high-cost area, and my loan payments are about $950 per month. I've looked into income-based repayment, but my private loans don't qualify. I'm literally doing everything I can to be responsible. I have roommates, I barely ever eat out, I haven't bought new clothes in forever, I'm doing side gigs whenever I can. But Patricia still treats me like I'm some irresponsible child. She'll call to check in, and it always turns into a lecture about financial responsibility. Yesterday, which is what prompted this post, she called, and we were just chatting normal at first. But then somehow, we got on the topic of my loans. She basically told me I need to cut back on unnecessary expenses and focus on paying down the principal. I literally wanted to reach through the phone and strangle her. I'm sorry, but what unnecessary expenses does she think I have? My one splurge is a Spotify premium account for $9.99 a month because music helps with my anxiety. I haven't been on a real vacation since college. I've been wearing the same work clothes for 2 years. Meanwhile, she just posted pictures last week of the brand new SUV she bought. Her second car, by the way. They already have one. And she's planning a trip to Hawaii next month with her husband. But God forbid I point any of this out, because then I'm attacking her for her success and being negative and not taking responsibility for my choices. She told me it's not her fault I chose an expensive school and a low-paying career, which made me see red because 1, she went to the same exact school as me, but had parents to help pay for it. 2, my career actually pays decent for entry level. It's the massive debt that's the problem. I mean, am I crazy here? Like, I know I'm not perfect with money. To be honest, sometimes I do buy coffee instead of making it at home. And yeah, I did splurge on concert tickets last month, but it was my first concert in 2 years. But I'm not living some extravagant lifestyle. And the worst part is, she's literally my only close family. We have some cousins and an aunt, but no one I'm really close to. So I feel like I have to maintain a relationship with her, even though she makes me feel like garbage half the time. And she did help me a lot after our parents died, so I feel guilty even being annoyed with her. I don't know what I'm even asking for here. I guess just, has anyone dealt with something similar? How do you handle a sibling who has no idea what it's like to be struggling financially in this economy and judges you for it constantly while flaunting their perfect life on Instagram? Oh, and I know this is already super long, but I forgot to mention, last month, she called me to complain about how expensive their property taxes are on their new house, and I can't with this woman sometimes. Like, her problems are that she has to pay taxes on her second home, while I'm over here wondering if I should put my cavity filling on a credit card because I can't afford the $200 copay right now. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up overnight. Thanks for all the responses. Edit 2. To those asking if I've tried talking to her directly about how her comments make me feel, yes, multiple times. It usually ends with her saying I'm too sensitive or that she's just trying to help. One time, I got really upset and actually started crying during one of these conversations, and she told me I was being emotionally manipulative. Edit 3. Someone asked about my job prospects. I'm actually hoping to get a promotion in the next few months, which would bump my salary to around $60K. Not life-changing, but it would definitely help. Edit 4. A lot of people are suggesting therapy, and yes, I actually started seeing someone about 3 months ago. It's helping with the grief and anxiety, but obviously doesn't solve the financial issues. Edit 5. To the person who asked if she was always this judgmental, honestly, yes and no. She's always been a bit of a know-it-all, but it's gotten way worse since she got married and bought her house. It's like she joined the homeowner club and now looks down on renters or something. Edit 6. For those saying I should just cut her off, I wish it was that simple. Like I said, she's literally my only close family, and despite everything, I do love her. Plus, she did help me a lot after our parents died. But believe me, I've thought about it. Now for the first update. Hey everyone. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the support on my last post. I honestly posted that super late at night when I was feeling really emotional and didn't expect so many responses. I read every single comment, and it honestly helped me feel less crazy about this whole situation. So it's been a few weeks since my last post, and I wish I could say things have gotten better, but they've actually gotten worse. I've been trying to implement some of the boundaries you all suggested, but it's been hard, like really hard. Patricia has been posting like crazy on social media lately. In the past 3 weeks, she's posted her renovated kitchen with marble countertops, pictures of her new Lexus SUV, which she bought because their family is growing, even though they don't have kids yet, and tons of photos from their weekend trip to Hawaii. Meanwhile, I'm eating ramen for the 3rd time this week because I had an unexpected $320 car repair that wrecked my budget. I had to borrow money from a coworker to make it to payday. But sure, tell me again how I need to budget better, Patricia. I've been seeing a therapist for a few months. I started because I was having trouble with grief about our parents, but we've mostly been talking about my relationship with Patricia and my anxiety about money. My therapist says I have self-worth issues tied to my financial situation, which, yeah, no kidding. Sorry if I'm rambling. I'm typing this on my lunch break, and I'm still upset from something that happened last night. What really got to me recently was this thing with my college roommate, Jess's wedding. My best friend from college was getting married in Mexico. It was a destination wedding, and I was supposed to be a bridesmaid. I was so excited. But then I got the details and realized I couldn't afford it. The flight was about $600, plus $200 a night for the resort, minimum 3 nights, plus bridesmaid dress, plus gift, at least $1,500 to $2,000 total. I couldn't do it with my loan payments. I had to call Jess and back out, which was one of the most embarrassing conversations ever. She was understanding, but I could tell she was disappointed. I cried for days after. That same month, Patricia was posting pics from her 3rd European vacation since buying her house. They went to Italy and Greece for 2 weeks in fancy hotels. She called me while there to check in and spent 20 minutes talking about how reasonable their hotels were and how I should prioritize travel while I'm young. I was so angry. She doesn't get that some people cannot afford to prioritize travel. For some of us, it's not about priorities, but about actual money. I would love to travel, but I'm too busy with debt. But anyway, the thing that happened last night that's got me so upset. Patricia called me around 8 p.m. It started normal, just checking in. Then she mentioned seeing on Facebook that I went to a concert last weekend. Yes, I did. It was a local band. Tickets were $25, and the first fun thing I've done in months. She started lecturing me about financial responsibility and how I won't get ahead if I keep wasting money on entertainment. I tried explaining that spending $25 once every few months on something I enjoy is important for my mental health, but she wouldn't listen. Then she told me our parents would be disappointed in how I've handled my finances. I went quiet. How dare she bring our parents into this? She has no idea what they would think. I think they'd be proud that I finished school despite everything and that I'm working hard. I finally snapped and told her she has no right to judge my finances when she had our parents pay for her education while I had to take out loans. I reminded her that she's 7 years older than me and has had more time to build her career and savings, and that if she'd helped me financially after our parents died instead of just giving unwanted advice, I might be better off now. There was a long silence, and then she said very quietly that now she knows how I really feel. Then she hung up. She hasn't contacted me since, and she's posted several new pictures of her and her husband on a wine tour this weekend. I guess that's her way of showing she doesn't care. I don't know what to do. Part of me feels guilty for snapping at her. She did help with the funeral arrangements after our parents died. But another part feels like this has been building up for years and needed to be said. My mom always used to tell us that sisters should stick together no matter what, that we'd need each other after she and Dad were gone. I feel like I'm failing her by not being able to make this relationship work. But I also feel like I'm the only one actually trying here. Anyway, sorry for the super long update. I'm still processing everything and trying to figure out what to do next. My therapist says I need to set clearer boundaries, but it's really hard when Patricia is literally my only close family. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up again. Thank you all for the support and advice. I'm trying to read through all the comments. Edit 2. To everyone asking if I've tried to calmly explain my feelings to Patricia before, yes, multiple times. It always ends with her saying I'm being too sensitive or that I should be grateful for her advice because she's just trying to help. Edit 3. Someone asked about my parents' life insurance. There was some, but most of it went to paying off their mortgage and other debts. What was left got split between us, but it wasn't much, maybe $15 each. Patricia used hers for a down payment on her first condo. I used mine for living expenses during my junior year, so I wouldn't have to take out even more loans. Edit 4. For those suggesting I go no contact, I've thought about it, but it's complicated. She's literally my only immediate family. And despite everything, there are times when she's genuinely supportive and loving. It's just this one area where she's completely blind to her privilege. Edit 5. Someone asked if Patricia might be jealous of me for some reason. Honestly, I can't imagine what she'd be jealous of. My tiny apartment, my mountain of debt, my single status. But maybe there's something I'm not seeing. Edit 6. To the person who asked if I've considered therapy for both of us, I actually suggested family therapy once, and she laughed and said she's not the one with issues. So, yeah. Now for the second update. So it's been 2 weeks since my last update, and honestly, everything has turned completely upside down. Like the universe has a sick sense of humor or something, because I could not have predicted what happened next. Thank you all for your support on my previous post, by the way. It really helped me feel less crazy about everything. After that fight, where I finally snapped at Patricia about her privilege, she went completely silent for almost a week. No calls, no texts, nothing. I was kind of relieved at first, but also feeling guilty because that's just how I am, I guess. I was actually working with my therapist on how to approach her again when I was ready, practicing setting boundaries and all that. Then last Tuesday night, around 11 p.m., I got a call from Patricia. I almost didn't answer because it was so late and I had an early meeting the next day, but something told me I should. She was crying. like not just sniffling, but sobbing. I've maybe seen Patricia cry twice since we were teenagers, once at our parents' funeral and once at her wedding, so I immediately knew something was seriously wrong. And then she said the words I never thought I'd hear from her. I need your help. Financial help. I literally almost dropped my phone. Like what? The same sister who's been lecturing me about financial responsibility for years was calling me for money. I thought it was a joke at first, or maybe she was drunk. But no, she was dead serious. So apparently, and I'm still trying to process all this myself, her husband Kyle lost his job like 3 months ago. He's been hiding it from everyone, including his parents. He kept leaving the house every day, pretending to go to work, while actually just sitting in coffee shops applying for jobs. Meanwhile, they've been living off savings and credit cards, keeping up appearances like everything was fine. All those social media posts, the new SUV, the kitchen renovation, the Hawaii trip, all on credit cards. They're apparently in like $60 of credit card debt now, on top of their mortgage and car payments. I was literally speechless. Like, I couldn't even form words for a solid minute. This woman, who's been making me feel like garbage about my financial situation for years, has actually been living beyond her means this whole time. The irony is just, I can't even. She said Kyle had a sure thing, job prospect that fell through last week, and now they can't make their mortgage payment. Their savings is completely gone. She was calling to see if I could loan them $30,800 for their mortgage payment while they figure things out. $3,800 from ME, the irresponsible little sister with student loan debt who can barely afford a cavity filling. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry or scream. I just sat there on my bed in shock while she sobbed on the other end of the line. I told her I needed to think about it and would call her back. She kept crying and saying she didn't know who else to turn to, that she was too embarrassed to ask her friends or Kyle's family. That's when I realized she wasn't calling me because I was her first choice. I was her last resort. The person she thought was so financially irresponsible, she couldn't possibly judge her. The next day, I called my financial advisor, who I started seeing after some of you suggested it in my first post. She basically confirmed what I already knew. I definitely do not have $3,800 to spare. Like, at all. Not even close. I could maybe scrape together $500 if I completely emptied my emergency fund, but that would leave me with nothing if my car broke down again or something. I also talked to my therapist about it in our session. She reminded me about boundaries and that I don't owe Patricia money just because she's family, especially given how she's treated me about finances. Which got me thinking about this conversation I had with my mom when I was maybe 16. Patricia, who would have been 23 then, had just gotten her first big promotion at work and was being really condescending about it, telling me I needed to take school more seriously if I ever wanted to be successful like her. I was complaining to Mom about it, and she sat me down and told me something I've never forgotten. She told me that someday Patricia and I would be all each other had, that family isn't just for when things are easy, but for hard times too. She said sometimes I'd be the strong one, sometimes Patricia would be, but we needed to be there for each other even when it's difficult. God, I miss my mom so much sometimes. She always knew exactly what to say to make things better. Anyway, I kept thinking about that conversation while trying to decide what to do about Patricia's request. Part of me, okay, a big part, wanted to throw all her lectures back in her face. Tell her maybe she should cut back on unnecessary expenses like Hawaii trips and new cars, but that wouldn't be what Mom would want. But I also couldn't just give her money I don't have. So after 3 days of stressing about it, I called her back. I told her I couldn't loan her the full amount because I literally don't have it. But I offered to loan her $500 to help with groceries or whatever while they figure out the mortgage situation. I also suggested she talk to a financial advisor about possibly selling one of their cars or looking into mortgage forbearance options. She got really quiet, then started crying again, but softer this time. She said she was sorry for how she's treated me all these years, that she's been projecting her own financial anxiety onto me because she and Kyle have actually been struggling with money for a while, but were too proud to admit it. The fake, perfect life was more important to them than actual financial stability. She admitted she's been jealous of me in some ways, how I've built a life on my own without pretending to be something I'm not, how I'm actually living within my means despite my loans. She said seeing me handle my financial struggles with dignity made her feel like a fraud. I was literally sitting on my kitchen floor at this point, just shocked. Patricia, jealous of me. It was like the world had turned upside down. We ended up talking for almost 3 hours that night. Like, really talking for the first time since our parents died, about grief and expectations, and how we've both been trying to make our parents proud in different ways. About how scared we both are of failing. About how much we miss mom and dad. I did end up sending her the $500, but I made it clear it was a one-time thing and that I expected to be paid back when they get back on their feet. She actually agreed to go to a financial counselor with Kyle and is looking into selling the SUV. She also took down all those Perfect Life Instagram posts and shared a more honest update about Kyle's job loss and their financial struggles. Her friends have actually been way more supportive than she expected. We're planning to have dinner next week, just the two of us, at my apartment, nothing fancy. I'm making pasta. It feels like maybe, possibly, we might be able to build a real relationship now that all these pretenses are gone. And yeah, I know this doesn't fix everything between us overnight. There's still a lot of hurt and resentment to work through, but it feels like maybe we're finally headed in the right direction. For the first time since our parents died, I feel like I might actually have my sister back. Edit. Wow, this blew up overnight. Thank you all for the awards and supportive comments. Edit 2. To those worried I'm being naive, trust me, I get it. I'm proceeding with caution. The $500 is money I'm prepared to never see again, even though she promised to pay it back. I'm not giving her any more.